Good morning. I feel very privileged this morning to be giving the Torah ahead of Yom Ha'atzmaut, and I would like to dedicate these words to the 23,786 soldiers and people who have given their lives so that we could be celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut. Now, coming from a long line of staunch Zionists, I always feel a great simcha, great happiness when Yom Ha'atzmaut comes around, and a pride in what our fellow Jews have achieved. But when you look at it a bit deeper, you see something much greater than a poor simcha. We really see Hashem's hand in the world, and how everything develops in a way which we perhaps could not have imagined at the beginning, but that may even be better. And if I look at the history of it, and go back to Herzl. Herzl, really, his idea of founding a Jewish state was purely so that he believed that if the Jews had a state of their own, there would not be anti-Semitism. Now, Israel today is probably more successful than his wildest dreams could have been. Yet that fundamental principle is something that has just proven to be wrong. Israel, unfortunately, today is the excuse most anti-Semites have for anti-Semitism. On the other hand, the rabbinical establishment of those days in the late 1900s, late 19th century, early 20th century, were vehemently opposed to Zionism, and for some reason, because they saw it as the death of Judaism and of Torah observance. Yet even then today, I think would look back and say that Israel has in fact turned into be the spark that reunited Judaism. In the last 50 years, more Jews have come back, have rediscovered that authentic traditional Judaism that our great-great-grandparents observed, and perhaps with even greater love. And much of that has to do with the miracles that we've seen and the pride that the state of Israel has given us. Now, in thinking about these thoughts, is one man I think always who was able to synthesize these different opinions in the early days of the Zionist movement, and that was Rav Kook. Rav Kook had a very practical view of the settler enterprise, of the need for workers and for labor, and yet at the same time he held the Zionist movement and the return to Israel in the most lofty and poetic sense, as really a beginning of a move towards an important step on the way towards a perfection and a messianic era. And in that light, I'd just like to look at some words that Rav Kook wrote in one of his thoughts that he wrote, which I think was written during World War I, in fact, when he was not in Israel. But he writes there on the return to Israel and his thoughts on World War I. He says, "From within this war, we see the essential color of Knesset Israel, not just the people of Israel, but all of Israel, not just all of the Jewish people, but all of the Jewish people of all time, is being revealed as we march to what he sees an inevitable return to the land of Israel." And he doesn't look down on secular or religious or anything, but he says that as from all of the diaspora she gathers great wealth and knowledge, an encompassing vision which spans far horizons. Rav Kook saw that you needed everybody, every single Jew, to play their role in bringing the dream of Israel at that stage into fruition, that to re-establish Jewish sovereignty and Jewish life back in Israel. It wasn't a religious or a secular thing. Everybody needed to play their role. And in fact, he writes here that the traits that were necessary are now emerging, are inherent in the Jewish people. He said, "We have always had our own language, our own literature, our own army. What we needed to do is to start this movement so that we could bring them out to each other. And finally, these type of things would lead to the crowning achievement where Israel becomes what it is, ultimately the light unto the nation, as Rav Kook puts it, She has a unique light of life which crowns her, and through her, i.e. Israel and Jewish people, crowns all of the world. So we're looking at where we are today. We can take great pride in what Israel is, but what I find most inspiring is that despite all the problems, perhaps because of all the problems, everything we see in our lives today, it's a step by step on a journey that Hashem is taking us to this ultimate perfection sometime in the future. But we know Hashem is watching over us and guiding us, and will make sure that everything turns out to be the best. And not only will it be what we hope it will be, but please God, it will be much better. Thank you, and have a great Yom Ha'atzmaut.